Hello and welcome to the finale of the Igloo podcast. If you don't know, the Igloo is a podcast where a group of friends get together every once and again these days to discuss film, media and other such bullshit topics like that. We're going to introduce ourselves, passing it over.
Passing it over.
Yo, Big Al, yo, on Instagram. I don't know why there's cameras on me. I'm a bit suspicious of these, but
You're just going to make me cut between them now, aren't you?
yeah.
I don't think we're even in that one.
You can be in that
That was
one.
mine and Liam's camera. This one's yours.
We make enough effort. Young Ware's on Instagram. It's all that really matters at this point. Every other social media has died. But does the social medias really matter, Barker? Over to you.
At Runaway Flower on Insta, please like my recent post. I'm flopping.
I'm dying.
Yeah, I'm dying.
And I'm Liam. I kind of founded SPM and run it.
Humble brag.
Except I am like literally the producer at this point. So
And now we're going to start with the first segment of the show, which is a discussion of film. And we actually decided to throw it back to the original pilot and rewatch the film Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. I'm pretty sure that's the subheading. If you don't know, Birdman is about a washed-up actor who once played an iconic superhero who attempts to revive his career by writing and starring in his own Broadway play. Stars Michael Keaton, Edward Norton, Emma Stone, and I don't even want to try and pronounce the director's name. So we're just going to start discussing.
and Nicole Kidman.
And Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah. I was watching it, I was like, I swear that's him, but I wasn't 100%
Yeah.
sure, because he just didn't look quite right.
Oh, he's the
He's
Producer.
he's the
like,
producer. Yeah, he was just trying to keep it all afloat.
I think the first thing I'm going to bring up is a small point. I only just noticed, like, this time watching it, that it's produced by Fox Searchlight, which is their, like, independent company. Basically,
shit.
it's like, people make films and then they're like, we want your film and we'll pay to, like, distribute it and stuff. So technically this is an indie film,
Damn.
which makes a lot more sense than Fox releasing a film like this.
It allowed them a lot more freedom, like.
Yeah. Searchlight have actually, like, produced a lot of really good independent films, so...
My thoughts leaving it was, just as a statement to have a conversation, is, you know, it's filmed in one shot.
Yeah, that's...
In a way, but let's call it one shot. And that, for me, visually, was unbelievable. And the whole thing about theatre, and I thought that was amazing. I
Yeah.
loved the idea of it. But then watching it again,
The gimmick's kind of gone.
I wanted to bring up, there's a thin line. What is a gimmick and
Yeah.
what is artistically almost relevant to use it?
I think
Do you know what I mean?
been done, like, they've cliched the sort of one-shot thing with Birdman. Like, it was the first big film that was going for that sort of style. So now it does seem boring, but they were the first to do it.
They were the first to. It's like things like, what was that film that came out a few years ago that was filmed over like 12 years?
Oh,
And like
Boyhood.
it was the same actor.
Yeah, Boyhood.
Like if that film, surely the fact that it was done like that, should it really make the film any better or worse?
Yeah, that's a, like...
Do you know what I mean?
An
Yeah.
entire conversation in itself. It's like, is...
I brought up too much.
Is it the process or the final
Yeah.
thing?
Because if that
like-
film was just filmed normally with multiple actors playing him, does it matter?
Yeah, I don't want to
terms
dive
of the
too much
quality of the
into
film.
it, because it's the whole idea of, like, contextualizing a piece of art, I guess. Because, like, people make that argument these days of, like, you shouldn't be so, like, shitty and mean towards art because people put their lives and shit into it. And it's like, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's still a piece of art and art's there to be judged and critiqued and enjoyed, but it's still going to have negative reactions from people. So, yeah. But the one-shot thing I do want to stay on is, I was watching it, like, obviously we've watched it before, and this is only actually the second time I watched it, and I was thinking to myself, what is the purpose of the whole one-shot thing? Is it just a gimmick, or is it more? Because, like, you can make the argument...
Spin it.
Yeah, you can make the argument that, oh, it's meant to reflect the whole, like, theatre and stage thing.
There's no
But-
stopping.
But it still kind of feels gimmicky to me. Like, I love it. Like, I do like the...
visually, yeah.
Yeah,
oh
visually,
my
but
God.
it's like, you kind of just like, what purpose does it actually serve?
It kind of limits you as well. Like, but that can create greatness. Like, is the limitations with it. Like,
Yeah.
you have to think outside the box. Like, really.
But I'd like to know, when it was first discussed, did they come up with it and then go, oh my god, that's genius, people will love it, or did it come up organically out of, like you just said, if this was the thought process, theatre,
Yeah.
what angle did it come at? Because I think it just come at, fucking hell, people are going to love this. What a gimmick.
It's the kind of mentality I take
And then
on.
you come up with something afterwards.
The interesting thing this time is I actually noticed a lot more like where potential cuts were, because you notice it a lot with
Yeah.
like the really unnatural pans. Like it's just a quick whip and it's like like it's on a wall, so there's a good chance to cut with it.
Yeah, and it's like things when there's a point where they enter a bar, isn't
Yeah,
it?
and
that goes. That's a more obvious
There's
one.
one of those is really obvious. Like I think it's the first time they come, either in it's in or out of the bar. It just doesn't feel quite right. It doesn't feel like it's joined properly. It feels a bit more obvious than the rest of it. Like,
But then I just think your average, because obviously we've transcended everyone, your average viewer, I don't think would give a fuck.
no.
Still fancy Emma Stone.
No, the thing is, when it comes to that, like I am a raging gay, right? So there's the part on the roof where Edward Norton goes out to have a smoke and Emma's just dangling off the building. He's like, what the fuck?
Edgy.
Yeah, and there's like one part where they start kissing and I'm like, damn, I don't know if I'm jealous of him or her. It's like, why not both?
Norton's a good-looking man.
He is, he's very pretty,
And his character is just so much of a cunt in that.
That's
That you
something
can't
I actually
help
want
but
to
See,
like
I
it.
don't like being attracted to that, but I am.
The thing is, like, I was thinking about it. Like, I've heard stories about like Edward Norton as an actor, and apparently he's like hell to work with sometimes. So I'm just like there thinking like, is this character like partially him? Like, is this like
Self-aware about
Yeah.
it.
He
like,
fucking loves it.
Yeah, I think he's definitely that.
Yeah, his character is like, he's such a prick, but you can't help but, love him. Like, he ruins everything, but at the same time makes everything come together because people are like, yo, you're really fucking screwing things up. And he's just like, yeah, it's shit, make it better.
I'm going to bring up a more general point, because we discussed Birdman before, and we talked about the ending and how it, like, I think we made the point of like it's a dream or something, but rewatching this film, I just see it's Michael Keaton's character is just delusional, like his powers and shit. I think that's him, like, just being delusional. He thinks he's special. He thinks he has powers and shit.
he is above. He thinks
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Because like there was that point in the film where like he wakes up hungover and like his alter ego Birdman is like just like turns it into a blockbuster film and he's flying and shit. And then he gets to the theatre and the taxi shows up and he's like asking for money.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's-
something that confused me.
It's a delusional thing. He thinks he flew there, but really he just took a taxi. And then the taxi driver's like, yo, what the fuck, you didn't pay me?
But imagine being in that mindset,
Yeah.
Because
that you genuinely believe that. You genuinely believe you flew somewhere.
Just a broken man, like.
That is a
because when
broken
I
man.
was watching it, right, and he just like flies down and walks into the theatre, and then the cab guy goes running after him. Like, what? So did he fly or did he just go take the cab? It's like, I'm really confused. What's going on? And then I'm like, I am just as delusional as this character is right now.
If you believe that he flew there.
Oh,
I think
there's
he
so
did
many
fly
times where he does the little flying bit. You're like, did he actually just jump off a building, or did he?
You could argue it's the unreliable narrator, because while he technically doesn't narrate the film, he's kind of the driving point. So he is what the audience is trusting, and we can't trust him because
Yeah.
he's delusional.
Yeah. You're just seeing it through his
Yeah.
eyes.
See, that's why I was
almost.
confused. I was like, oh, did he fly or did he actually take a taxi? Because I was watching it and I messaged Liam right after it happened. I was like, so did he fly or what? Because I'm really confused.
And how did Liam answer that?
He didn't. He ignored me.
Good. That's exactly how I wanted it to be left.
Because it is up for interpretation as
Yeah.
well, isn't it? There's no solid proof of either, like, in the film. And that's another element of it.
The best scene in it, though, is when Edward Norton's trying to get it up.
Yeah.
That's the best scene.
You tried to fuck me on stage. That's kind of hot.
me.
but it's real.
That's literally the quote.
It's like, yeah, but that is real. Like, I gotta be real.
It's gotta
It's
be
like,
real.
you haven't been able to get up for months, now suddenly you want to crawl on top of me on stage?
That's another thing I noticed. Well, unrelated point now.
That's a wonderful bit of social commentary.
During the film, there's a scene I had completely forgotten about. Is when Emma Stone's character is arguing with Michael Keaton's character, and she's kind of I saw it as like the battle of generations, because like she brings up he doesn't have like social media and shit like that, so he's basically irrelevant. He's invisible to the world.
But I'm gonna say something controversial now. It's not that controversial. Do you find stuff like that cringy in films?
I remember
Just a
this.
question.
I remember this before because I remember bringing it up. We're gonna keep coming back to the first time we talk about it. I remember thinking it was cringy.
We should have watched that. I just realised.
Yeah. I remember thinking it was cringy the first time, but this time it felt more natural. And I don't know if it's just because like time has passed and now social media has become such a massive part of like everything in just the world in general now. It feels more natural. But like I do remember the first time being like, yeah, that's cringy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now you're like, oh damn, yeah, that's true. Because if you haven't got social media, people aren't gonna know who the fuck you are.
That's why Instagram's so important.
Mhm. That's why I'm like begging my 166 followers to like my post.
Staying on that point of social media, like another thing that kind of relates is not really the ending, but like the ending to the whole theatre thing where he shoots himself. And I kind of see it as like, I can't remember when this film was made.
Was it 15?
No, because we discussed it in
2014.
yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of makes sense. It's kind of when social media started to take over and people put importance in social media.
Before Trump.
Yeah. And the whole like thing I kind of thought of, it's the whole extremism, like doing extreme things for relevance, for attention, because that's kind of become a big part of social media again.
Yeah, stunts like.
So like that's what I kind of see the ending as. It's like they even like talk about it as like suddenly he'd become this big figure, like everyone's talking about him and stuff. He's got all these hits on social media, and I don't know. What do you think?
I've got no answers in this whole thing, but I'm going to ask another question. It's kind of relevant to that. It's also interesting that he was a movie star, massive movie star, and then for himself to feel accomplished, he then goes to theatre.
Such a like just outdated.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Like
it's a bit of why do you regard that as so much higher than film?
It's just
Because he was creating something himself, wasn't it? Like it was his own thing.
and his class as well. To be fair, like his, I guess rich reviewers, critics and shit. Like they watch theatre and like movie and taken serious as an art.
it is that pretentiousness that like it's shown in the film. It's the whole film versus theatre thing. That it kind of does bring it back to the whole one-shot thing now, because it's using the medium of film to deliver something about theatre that feels like theatre. So, I don't know, it's a bizarre thing, like, the whole, like, actor coming to theatre to, like, I can't remember.
Prove his chops,
Yeah.
basically. Like,
I don't even know, like, to find new relevancy, and, like, it kind of is because he become typecast as that role, like, as Birdman, and, like, as an... Like,
Batman.
but that's the thing with like actors is like a lot of them, like Harry Potter, like Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah.
He like the moment Harry Potter finished.
You went to theatre.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Straight to theatre.
That's the thing.
Show his
Like,
ass everywhere.
when actors and actresses become like kind of typecast and they're known for a certain role, they feel they need to do something
like Bryan
dramatic.
Cranston as well. Bryan Cranston went straight into theatre like after Breaking Bad, and now he's won like what's the thing for
Tony?
theatre? Yeah, Tony. Won a Tony Award. Like they seem to. It is the perfect way to break a typecast. Like.
Is the thing is as well, when it comes to actors like Daniel Radcliffe, you know, Miley Cyrus as well, actors and actresses like that, you can't help but see them as the role you know them as.
Yeah.
So when I was watching The Woman in Black, I was like, look at that Harry Potter man go.
Why don't you just
You know,
get his wand out?
Yeah. And it's the same with like Miley Cyrus, and you see her in like films and you're like, oh look, it's Hannah Montana. And they're
I
there
just
then,
see
you
her
know,
as my
trying to
girlfriend
prove
now.
that their entire career...
Picking up your calls though.
Miley Cyrus is literally top of the cream of the crop, like
You on about her, like...
women.
Oh, right, okay, he's complimenting her appearance,
Yeah.
okay.
Like, I really like Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, she's hella pretty.
Why can't I be Thor's brother? Do you know?
His little brother.
Yeah. No, Thor's little
Liam
brother.
Hemsworth.
Liam Hemsworth, yeah.
Liam Hemsworth.
Throwback to the
actor's
time that
brother.
I thought that Chris and Liam Hemsworth were the same person.
Hang on a minute.
Yeah, no,
I did
Chris
not know two
Hemsworth.
different people, I thought they were
Thor.
the same person.
His little brother is with Miley Cyrus.
He's engaged to her.
And he's in Westworld.
I thought I'm missing with you.
No.
Yeah,
They're
he's
the
the
same
security
person.
guard.
Oh shit! It's RM.
No, she's
Pretty sure
with
it's him.
Liam, his brother.
Fuck.
I thought she was with Thor.
No, it's brother.
They look the same person.
Yeah,
do
they
look like
do.
the same
Two
person.
Aussie boys, big Aussie blonde boys, like.
Yeah.
Were they in
I always thought they were the same
Neighbours?
person.
He
No,
surprisingly
They're
wasn't.
younger, but they've got another brother.
They cover a whole fucking continent.
They've got like another younger brother, and I'm pretty sure he does like Australian soaps and stuff.
Good. Home and away.
Probably Home and Away, Neighbours. I don't know. My mum watches those. I don't know.
Do you have two more points I want to bring up before we bring this discussion to an end? Let me have a look. The whole
Very full.
the Birdman persona, and like I kind of saw it as it's like that inner voice that most people have, like that like anxiety embodied, like because he's telling him he's not he's worthless and shit, and he's just driving him insane. Like I kind of saw that as like it's anxiety.
But yet have like this grandiose idea of yourself as well. It's like the mix of the
Yeah,
two.
because he
isn't it?
thinks this Birdman fucker, right? He thinks that he's the best shit in town. He's like, yeah, like no one here is worthy of your like, of anything. No, not worthy of you speaking to him, this, that, and the other. And then he's there, and he's like, oh yeah, why don't you just shoot yourself in the face? That's good too.
It's like the elite and the insecurity of it. Like,
But that comes a lot
Everyone
with
does, I
like
think, yeah.
artists especially, because you have this grand idea of yourself and your work, but you also have like you're your biggest critic, and you're just really fucking insecure.
And it's
I mean,
usually
If you ever walk down these streets with that fucking Death Grips first mix in your ears, you feel like you can take on the world.
But it's like, it's weird, like, it is a weird comment, like, on, really, Birdman, like, with the actual, he's dealing with the critics' reviews and shit, like, and actually taking them serious,
Yeah.
like.
The last thing I wanted to bring up is
Darkest censor in me.
like how the film compresses time, like because of that one take thing, it does still go through like yeah, and it's like sometimes it's really obvious they do the time lapse of like the sky and shit, but other times it's just like a continuous cut. Like the one that I wrote down is, I call it the crazy bitch transition, where she tells him she's pregnant and then like fucking feels him up, and then we follow her and she breaks the fourth wall. That's to lead us to the previews.
Yeah.
But no, like, yeah, that the compression of time within a one-take thing, it's obviously a difficult thing to do, because when you think, like, one continuous take, you'd think...
It's only 2 hours.
Yeah, like...
Time.
Yeah.
2 hours, our time.
But somehow they managed to do it really well. Like, I feel it'd be interesting to see it from the point of view of someone who doesn't watch a lot of film and stuff, to see if they get confused. Because, again, putting us on a pedestal and we're the elite, we're kind of used to following shit like that. So, like, if we see, like, a cut, well, not a cut, but if we see, like, different costume or a different part of the story, we can assume that it's a different time, that it's, like, a different day or something. But it'd be interesting to see, like, someone who doesn't watch a lot of film, if they get confused by it.
They had to keep it pretty much linear as well, didn't they? The narrative.
they couldn't really...
Like, that's a problem with it as well. Like, that's why I reckon it is still a gimmick, like the one-shot thing, because you don't have full, like, creative, like, influence over it then.
No.
Yeah, you're almost trapped by it, because you're like, oh, this is something to... No, we can't.
Because that's the...
No, because it's all...
Like, on
One
that point, you run into the issue of, like, cinematography, where... Can you, like, think of many moments... Like, there are a couple of moments in the film, but can you think of a lot of moments in that film where you go, that's shot? Because it's just one camera following, and they can't do a lot of changes with like framing and stuff. Like there's one shot that really gets me is when he's in the liquor store with all the lights and stuff, but that's less to do with framing and more to do with like the way a set's lit and stuff.
Yeah.
So they are very limited with that. So the one take thing, like while it's interesting and if it's done well, it's really good. It's also like one of the biggest limitations you can put on yourself.
Because you've done it with a lot of films, haven't you? The director as well. Like no.
Is it the same guy who did Revenant?
Yeah.
Yeah. Revenant had a different gimmick. Revenant's gimmick was that it was shot using entirely natural light. They didn't use any like actual lighting.
Revenant kind of sucked, but
I haven't
enjoyed
watched it yet, but I'm gonna watch it.
It was. Have you not watched it?
No.
It was quite. I watched it.
I have a list of 250 films to watch, so.
It was quite. When you sat there, it's quite underwhelming, I would say.
First, last hour is good, and a film shouldn't be like that. Like,
It did win every award though.
like the rest of the film pretty much sucked, but the last hour was like really good, I reckon. Like,
I just didn't really care. I wasn't that fucking invested, if I'll be honest. And I only watched it once in the cinema. I believe I was quite distracted that day.
yeah, but
Looking back. But I'd watch it again, but I didn't really care.
cinema as well, like that's where it should be captivating now, but like obviously it didn't. Like,
For this segment, we're going to talk more generally about media, really, just everything. So music, film, TV, probably mostly music, because that's the only thing we've been able to come up with today. I'm going to start with the one thing we've been waiting to discuss for a bit, actually, is the Arctic Monkeys' new album, Tranquility Base and Casino, or is it Plus Casino?
And Casino.
So yeah, for a bit of context, I'm not a big Arctic Monkeys fan to start with, but I did give the album a try because I...
Have you given the album a listen?
Because I heard that
Did you love it? Did you hate it? How would you rate it?
you're the best. You're the best.
Anyway, because I heard they tried a different concept, so I gave it a listen, and I'll just give my thoughts and then we can talk about it a bit more. I was enjoying it. Like the album, the first song started, and I was like getting really into the instrumentals. I really liked the instrumentals, and all of a sudden Alex Turner started singing. I was like, oh fuck, here we go. And I persevered because I wanted to say I listened to the full album, and I did. But literally, like it got to a point where I was listening to the songs. I was like, yeah, I'm really getting into this. And then Alex Turner would just do something really fucking, like he'd try to overreach and do something really theatrical. And now I'd just be like, right, I'm going to turn this off in a second. Because I love the instrumentals. Like the instrumentals and the concept I love. But
It's very artsy, yeah.
Alex Turner's vocals,
It's not an Arctic.
it's
Monkeys
just
album.
so... I can't deal with him. I can't. He doesn't have...
Understand.
He knows he doesn't have the range. Which is why he...
The moonside moon.
That's the thing, is like Fantano like put it perfectly. Like I listened to the album before I watched his review because normally I don't. But I did this time, and I couldn't put into words just how I felt. And he explained it's like
The music on this record, the only purpose it truly serves is to just be a platform for Alex Turner to be striking Elvis poses on top of it while doing air guitar windmills with hands full of like Liberace-sized glitzy rings.
I got some Bowie vibes as well.
Bowie, I was gonna say, yeah.
I think he thinks he is like a Bowie or like an Elvis.
Well, I've
Alex
realised...
Turner's not a Bowie or an Elvis. He's a fucking Alex Turner.
I've realised recently Queens of the Stone Age is just turned up Bowie. It's just very loud, distorted Bowie.
Lit Bowie, and who's best friends with Josh Homme, Alex Turner.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Now, what I would say about the album, I liked the album, right?
yeah, you liked AM as well, didn't you?
Everyone liked it.
No, that was very commercial, right? Owen said a good thing then when he just said it's not an Arctic Monkeys album. But what is an Arctic Monkeys album? Because if you're thinking about the first two, which are absolute classics,
Drinking ciders with
the
the
best
boys.
albums, straight in tinnies with the boys, going out, buying a drink
In-betweeners.
for a fitty, being rejected, and then going in the slammer. That's what it's about. But you can't fucking talk about that anymore, can you?
Nah, it's...
You gotta talk about fucking something else. So it is a way of doing it. It's just talk about fucking nonsense. But I would say, what I think a lot of people have missed, I think Owen will back me here, is this shouldn't have been an Arctic Monkeys album.
It should have been an Alex Turner.
It should have been an Alex Turner album because all, possibly even, the last Shadow Puppets kind of album, because the last Shadow
Sounds
Puppets
like
album
Last Shadow
was
Puppet.
fucking. It sounds a lot like that, but it was a lot better. And I think he should have got. But I don't know why he made an Arctic Monkeys album. I think, and in an
It was
interview,
for commercial success.
I think that's what I think, because apparently he wrote an awful lot of it on demos on his own, and then just brought the guys in and they brought a couple more ideas. And there was an interview where one of them was saying it was pretty much almost done, and we all said, "Why don't you just fucking release it on your own?" And he was like, "No, Arctic Monkeys." Ooh. So I think they copped out. They went for the commerciality, because obviously an Arctic Monkeys album, I don't know if you've got stats about what it sold. It fucking sold a lot.
Yeah, I know for a fact AM sold a shit ton.
A lot
because
more
it
than
is a commercial
an
rock
Alex
album.
Turner album was going to
Yeah.
sell.
Yeah.
But I think it would have gone over better. It's not a good Arctic Monkeys album, but it's a good Alex Turner album.
Yeah,
How
slap
about
the
that?
Arctic Monkeys name on it, sell a bit more.
Exactly. Do we know how much it did?
No, I can. Which one? Tranquility Base? Yeah. The thing is, it's different these days because obviously streaming is so
Streaming, yeah.
prevalent. But
It seems like a type of band or people would buy the vinyl.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot of physical like sales. Like what's
But-
his name? The other.
But how many streams is it for an album sale?
oh, fuck,
10,000?
they changed it recently actually. The 14th of May said they closed in on 70,000 sales, but they set a new chart record. This is called NME. The Sheffield
NME?
group scored combined chart sales of 86,000, and the LP is the most popular album on all formats this week: physical, digital, and streaming.
Fuck.
So how much did it?
Shifting 24,500 albums on vinyl is officially the fastest selling vinyl record of the last 25 years. So yeah,
Fucking hell. It's
It's-
like a fashion statement.
that is
in
the
an
thing.
Arctic
That is,
Monkeys.
but that's what the Arctic Monkeys became after AM.
Yeah.
Because like that, it became that meme of girls wearing like
Fishnets,
chokers, leather jackets,
chokers,
and all that stuff.
plaid shirts,
Plaid
and
shirts.
necking back some strongboard dark fruits while necking on with a guy you're never gonna.
But that's how you know like something's
Festivals
popular
and
is
shit.
it
That's
becomes.
my Friday night.
That's how you know something's popular
Get
because
the
it
fish
becomes
nets
a
on.
meme.
I have also heard other people say, though, AM was very commercial back
Yeah,
then.
massively.
It was very commercial. But I still liked AM. But a lot of people said, is this... Because you know what, like, Humbug, I still quite liked Humbug. Then you had Suck It and See. I put it down as their worst album. I think a lot of people would agree with that. But that was like a transition album. And then they had AM, which I still think is fantastic. A lot of people said, is this a transition album?
No, it's not. It's a departure.
Do you know Johnny Davis?
What do you mean it's a departure?
As in, like, an experiment. That's a better term. Like, it's just them doing something different. That's not going to be the sound moving forward. There's no way that's the sound moving forward.
Or
I
build,
dunno.
or build on the sound.
I don't.
It would be a transition album.
I don't see it. Like, if Alex Turner, if it was just his stuff, I could see it. But with that name, the Arctic Monkeys name, there's no way that's the sound going forward.
I think at this point, if you're a band,
I don't see much longevity for Arctic
But
Monkeys.
that's what I was about to say. I don't see, if you're Arctic Monkeys, think of what you've broken thousands of records or whatever, a couple of records. Those 2 albums, that's what it's about. If you sit there in a room now, what the fuck kind of music are you going to make?
That's it's like what Fantana's referred to as like all these early 2000 rock bands.
They lost.
They either have to change their sound and experiment or they die because that sound doesn't work anymore.
That's the thing with
It works with like dedicated fans, but it's not going to work with new fans.
Queens of the Stone Age. Like they changed with the newest album, obviously, and like it
I
was a
haven't heard
pretty
that,
hit and miss.
I didn't. Yeah, it was. I didn't really care too much for the new album.
Like Clockwork was an absolute
But
banger,
yeah,
though.
their album just before where they was still experimenting, like that's one of their greatest albums. And
it's
like,
what Jack White did because Boarding
Yeah.
House Reach is an experimental album.
is a weird fucking album.
I didn't hate it. Like his past stuff I found quite boring. Like apart from Lazaretto because that song's great, but like the albums themselves have been quite boring. But like I didn't love the Bourne House Reach, but I actually like enjoyed listening to it.
Yeah.
I was like, this feels like something different.
It's got a lot of listenability to it as well. Like you can keep going back to the album and like notice new things with it, like dance.
Yeah, that's the
songs,
whole
like-
experimental thing.
Yeah, I do enjoy that with it. Like Johnny Davis from Korn. No Korn.
Oh yeah, he's got a solo album.
He's
now.
got a new solo album and it's one of the weirdest albums I've ever listened
I've
to.
got it ready on Spotify. I haven't listened to it yet.
It's really weird. There's a song on there called Gender.
Yeah.
It's not political or anything like that. It's just a lot of Eastern influence to it. Like, they use like massive like fucking stringed instruments that I've never heard before. It's a good
Sorry,
album.
as soon as you said that the song was called Gender, all I could think about was a gender studies student screaming, "Gender is a spectrum," over and over.
It's about loving the other gender, like women, but he also wants to wear their skin or some shit. It's like really fucked
Yeah, so
up
I want
lyrics,
to love you, but I also want to do a Buffalo Bill on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Didn't you catch yourself vibing out to it?
No, I did say this though, like
Mama's on the mantle.
like the
It's definitely something you'd hear playing in like a bar.
No,
I
I
know
said
if
this.
she
Like the
wants to
instrument, like
know.
the instrumentals and the conceptual idea behind it, it felt like a lounge bar in space. It felt like a very structured, like it's not jazz,
we got our
but it's like
cigars
stuff you
and
hear in
Birdman.
like a lounge music. But like as I said, like I enjoyed that. But the moment Alex Turner starts singing, I just can't.
So
I
basically,
just
if
hate
they
it.
released like an
If
instrumental...
it was just the instrumental album, I'd fucking love it.
I think
I like his style of singing.
I do think he's insane, and I do think he thinks I am.
the next rock god.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's out of his fucking mind.
To be a rock star, you kind of got to have that ego, like Josh Homme as well.
Yeah,
Like,
like the do, but I do like it. Come on, fucking Mark speaking. And have you heard it? Or have you heard some songs?
I've heard two of the songs, the two singles that came out before the album.
4 out of 5, and She Looks Fun.
I think so,
Is that
yeah.
one of the singles?
You know the title track though.
That it's so the but the chorus is so clunky.
Mark speak. Have you heard that one? The chorus is him going.
Tranquility.
This way it goes. Mark speaking. No, was it? Mark speaking. You're through to the something Basin Hotel, the casino.
It's so clunky.
Please tell me how may I direct your call. It's like, who the fuck's Mark? What are you talking about?
I don't know no Mark.
He tries to fit so many words into such a small section of the
Mark
song that
speaking.
it becomes very clunky. There's no
Yeah.
rhythm to
How
it.
may I direct
Anyway,
your
let's move on.
I'm sorry,
Let's
did
talk
this
about the
turn into
Kendrick
a- this
incident.
turn-
So,
It's
so,
not
so out
on
of 10,
panel
you give
review?
it a solid 4.
For
I want a
me,
number.
6.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
I said it's not a bad album. I just don't like Alex Turner's
Can't get over
vocals.
his...
I reckon he probably vibe with it better if they released an instrumental
Anyway,
album.
Let's finally talk about the Kendrick incident. In case in case you don't know, basically, I didn't actually watch the video because I can't bring myself to watch it. I've seen clips of it. From what I know, is Kendrick brought people up on stage to sing Mad City. Yeah, and a white girl came up on stage and said the N-word. But the thing is, I'm just gonna go straight into how I feel. If you're gonna put it in your song, you can't be mad when people say it.
Oh, don't pick the
Yeah.
white girl.
He had white people go up before it and they had them saying the word and he didn't bat an eyelid. As soon as this woman comes up and starts saying it, he's like, oh, mate.
Apparently, as I said, I haven't watched the video. I saw the clip, but like the full video, apparently Kendrick he didn't actually really turn on her. It's just the fact that the crowd turned on her, and he had to basically say, "Well,
Don't say that word. Please.
I think it's
Only
fine.
I'm allowed to say that word.
I think it's fine. I think if you've asked it to come up, I think it's fine.
yeah."
But the crowd did. I think when I think we were watching it, I think the crowd did start to turn on her before he stepped in, and then maybe he felt he had to step in. But I will say, she did have an arrogance about it.
Yeah.
And she was very much like, oh, am I not cool enough for you? And she'd have a real thing about it. I think that's what made it worse. Because everyone keeps going out of this. There's a Travis Scott example from a year
Yeah,
ago.
that was what I was gonna bring up.
Where, yeah, there's like a young boy and he's white. And they're going back and forth. And he's singing every word. And he's singing the N-word. And they're fucking vibing and Travis Scott. And everyone's loving it. But
Yeah, it's
Apparently,
probably
like,
because of how
travelling-
big-headed she got.
But she
People
had
like,
a real
mate,
fucking thing
But
about
that's the
it.
thing, because
fucking prick.
apparently I haven't seen Travis Scott video either, but I've heard apparently
She seemed like a bit of a cunt.
Like
put
he
it that
kind of
way.
turned it into a good thing. He's like this is where we're at now, that we can
It depe-
both
yeah.
vibe and sing to this
It
music.
depends
they
on
both
the
fucking
artist.
loving it.
Like Travis Scott is obviously one of the people who think that the word should be used it shouldn't have the connotation anymore. But Kendrick is like old school Martin Luther King shit. Like, I think it's context in it, and
I don't think there's anything wrong with getting about it.
I do though, because I think with words is all about context, and in the context of her rapping along with the lyrics is that's what was expected.
Yeah, you're not meaning any harm at all by singing lyrics from a song. If you're saying it to hurt someone and be a fucking prick, then yeah, you shouldn't say it.
Especially if you've been
Whereas song
brought up on
lyrics,
stage. Like,
if you don't want white people singing your song lyrics, then don't put the fucking word in your song.
And why bring it up? I think because Fantana did talk about it, and he said something like,
I don't watch Fantana's part in it, but
He said
Fantana
something
doesn't
like-
use the word anyway.
no, but he just said something like, I don't see why, if he didn't want her to say it, when she came out, why didn't he just whisper in her ear,
Yeah.
by the way, just
Yeah,
bleep
could
out this
have
word,"
talked cool.
and then everything would have been avoided. I think he said something along those
Because
lines.
if she said
Which-
it then I would have been like, well, the fuck is your problem?
But then it's really awkward if you watch the video, because then afterward, because then he goes, nah, I just want you to bleep one word, and then she goes, okay, and then they do it again, and she's bleeping it, and it's really awkward, and then it gets like the verse, and she gets it a bit wrong, and he just goes, fucking forget it.
shit.
But I don't know whether there was a competition. I don't know the old gig where there was a competition. Lots of people came out and you have to do it all right. I don't know. But he goes, fucking forget it, and she goes off.
I don't know. It's,
I'm
I
not
think it's
gonna lie, the
I-
entire thing
I
made
think it's
me
fine, but
lose
she
a
did have-
tiny bit of respect.
She
for
did have
it.
arrogance about it.
I like personally I don't like using the word, not because of like the connotation, because I know in context I wouldn't use it as a harmful, like as a slur. I wouldn't use it to fucking like as a name for someone, but I just don't like the word. It doesn't feel right when I say it. But I don't have an issue. Like I'm of that, like with Owen, on the fact that words only have power when they're given context. And if like, because you can quote, like if you quote
It's
that,
like books, isn't it?
yeah, it's context. That's everything that matters. It's like the whole PewDiePie thing. When it came up, in context, he made a fucking mistake because he used it as an insult.
Yeah.
But then people are trying to argue that white people can't say it at all. And if you do that, like limit what people can say,
You just give it more power.
yeah, you are giving the words power. It's like the whole Count Dankula thing. It's the same situation where he almost got jail time. He didn't. He got a fine for making his dog do the Nazi salute. But the whole point of that was that Nazis are the worst thing ever, and he wanted to turn his...
He got a fine.
Yeah, he got a fine. Because there was the years of court battles. Well, his trial kept in delay, and there was a good chance he was going to go to jail, but they just fined him instead, like £800, for making a joke video where he taught his girlfriend's dog to do the Nazi salute because he said that she loves him, the dog, more than him, and he's the cutest thing in the world. So what's the opposite of the cutest thing in the world? A Nazi. But then people are arguing, well, no, you're just teaching a dog to do Nazi shit. It's like, no, the point of the joke is Nazis are terrible. You don't want to be a Nazi.
Yeah, that's the point. You got a fine for that.
Yeah, because
There's no freedom of speech laws in Britain.
the
There's a little amount of people know that. Like,
Yeah, we haven't got freedom of speech.
yeah.
we have freedom of expression, but it's slightly different, and if we don't defend it, like what's been happening with Count Dankula, then more shit can happen. And the funny thing is, the biggest like twat that came out of this was Graham Linehan, who's the guy who made Father Ted. I can't remember what else he made, but he's a massive cunt on Twitter. He thinks TERF is a slur against women, even though it's not. And basically his whole thing was, oh, you can't make Nazi jokes. And literally people keep pointing out that literally in Father Ted, you made Nazi jokes. You literally had a guy like with a fucking Nazi mustache on a window doing the Nazi salute and everything as a joke in context, and he just won't accept it because he's that much of a cunt.
I don't see how you can get fined for that.
It's ridiculous, but...
The
Here we
thing is,
go.
he didn't have, it wasn't in front of a jury. Like, there was no jury. It was just the court.
And he was like a sentiment to it as well. Like, they were setting a precedent with it, like...
That's the thing, like, that's why he's
To
back.
stop other people teaching their dog. Because obviously everyone was signing up for the class.
The
It
thing
would
is,
be fucking class.
he's
I've
back.
got Vinny doing it.
He wants to,
Yeah. Jasper did it earlier.
he wants to fight the fine. He doesn't want to accept the fine, because if he accepts the fine, then he sets a precedent where other people can be charged for this in the future.
I think it's some fucking
And it's
common
dangerous
sense.
for comedy, which is why like people like Ricky Gervais were coming out and saying this is really fucked up. You have to, like, the fuck is going on? But it's weird how many comedians actually stay quiet. Oh, that camera just went off. So yeah, I think that's all we're going to talk about for now because cameras are being bitches. So yeah, let's wrap out the final episode of the Igloo.
Oh, damn.
For now.
Oh shit, is that it?
Well, yeah, for now. Maybe in the future we might bring it back, but for now this is going to be it.
This has been a real burden for you, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah.
You've had real sleepless nights over the Igloo.
Oh yeah.
You finally want it. You want to put, you know, the final bullet in his fucking head.
Lay its weary head to rest.
But yeah, so let's wrap this up how we used to do it. Let's plug, I mean, well, you did it at the start, but do you want to plug social media again? Let's start with Owen.
Yeah, YouTube, just type in Owen Atkins. I got 2 YouTube channels, one with like live performances and shit, one with like just other music, and yeah, that's it. Big out you on Instagram.
I realise you're not going to have a mic now, so you might want to like lean into it or something.
Young Wes on the rise. Young Wes on Instagram. It's really on the rise. It's really, you know, you might not have the followers, you might not have the likes, but in terms of the quality.
Yeah, I always feel that with my Instagram, but like the followers
no.
decrease.
You feel about my Instagram.
Yeah, your Instagram's pretty
So
good
I
as
always
well.
make sure to like all of your pictures on both of my Instagrams, so you
Yeah.
get double the likes from
Double
me.
the likes.
Tom Parsons sometimes does that for me. He does me a solid.
I do it for you.
I can't get past that 200 followers point. Like, I get the 200 followers,
Is
then
yours
I
on
drop
private or
2
public?
followers. It's on private as well.
Yeah, but that makes it worse.
No, on public, I
Oh.
mean, like...
It's fucking on private. Why can't they see my shit?
So yeah,
I'm at runaway_flower on Instagram. Please like my recent. Please like my
by the
recent.
time this goes up,
Imagine having a quality.
Like my recent.
160 followers. Again, 160 likes every photo.
Honestly, of every
Perfect.
single one of my followers, Liam, like my recent.
Do you
Yeah.
sometimes not like Leah's photos?
He purposely does it to piss me off.
I like that.
but yeah, I'm not going to plug any social media, really.
Don't like his recent.
No,
I
I don't like my Instagram.
But I do highly recommend because you do in the old.
I hate that thing so much.
Why are
Next
you
year
doing
I'm
it,
doing a
though?
weekly thing. I'm not doing the daily thing next year.
Daily thing. I like it. I like the music side of it.
Yeah, I'm still going to do that, but it's not going to be Instagram. I'm just going to do a Spotify playlist
No,
next
he's
year.
saying it like it's so hard, right? But I've been doing a picture a day thing every day for 3 years.
Yeah, but I have to bloody remember to do it. So yeah, I'm not going to plug any social media, but just stay tuned to this channel because there are going to be things coming out eventually. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Am I in
Um,
this one? Is it a super?
Yeah, it's the wide.
Didn't
So
realise it was
safety.
a camera.
But yeah, so keep an eye on the channel. There is going to be shit coming. But this is the end of the Igloo for now. So any final words?
I've got some really edgy jokes to tell, but I'm going to wait for the cameras to turn on.
Okay. Anyone
Yeah,
else?
it's been a blast, like,
Rick.
you know.
And we will see you in another lifetime.
Oh.